Terry Richmond, a former veteran, is cycling on the road listening to songs while a police car is following him and warning him to stop, but he doesn't hear that. The officer has no choice but to hit the bike and stop him by force. Officer Evan Marston, along with his partner Officer Steve Lann, cuffs Terry, claiming they tried to pull him over. Terry mentions that he didn't hear him due to his earphones, but the cops don't believe it. They begin their search for his backpack and discover a wrapped package in a plastic bag. They ask Terry if they're allowed to open the package, but Terry refuses. They detain Terry and request a K-9 unit to send a team. Terry realizes that it will take nearly an hour of his time, and he is in a hurry, so he allows them to open it up. The cops find a bunch of cash in the bag and immediately think it's drug money. But Terry insists, saying he needs it to bail out his cousin, and the rest is for buying a truck to haul boats. Officer Steve counts it, almost 30 grand, and asks why Terry's cousin got locked up. As it turns out, his cousin Mike got busted for having weed, but he wasn't a dealer. The officers choose to release him, but retain his money, suspecting it may be associated with drug transactions. Evan tells Terry that he will hold the money and retrieve it after 30 days. Alternatively, he could face imprisonment for an organized crime involving money laundering. Terry grabs his bike and goes to the courthouse. There, he encounters a court clerk named Elliot. Terry tells Elliot to arrange for his cousin's bail, explaining that the police have confiscated all of his money. Elliot declines since Terry lacks funds and says that the jail is undergoing renovations, leading to the transfer of all prisoners to state prison. Elliot's shift is finished, so he introduces Terry to his colleague Summer McBride, an ambitious lawyer, to help him. Summer and Terry share a drink, during which Summer admits that the local police department employs legal yet unethical strategies to grab money from some individuals. When people are unable to legally hold on to their money, the police take it for themselves. Terry discusses that his cousin Mike assisted in identifying some dangerous criminals, and if he is transferred to a state prison, he could be at risk of being targeted by the inmates. Summer recommends that Terry quickly gather more cash for the bail to save Mike. Terry calls Mr. Liu, the owner of the Chinese restaurant, and his partner and requests 10 grand. Liu agrees to help Terry and transfer the money within a few hours. The following day, he goes to the police station. He informs Officer Jessica Sims about a robbery and provides a description of the robbers that closely matches that of Officer Evan and Steve. At that moment, Officer Steve enters and tears the report paper, saying that Terry is presenting false information. Chief Sandy Byrne, the head of the department, steps in. Chief Sandy defends Steve and angrily tells Terry to pause his voice recorder and leave. Yet Terry proposes that he can keep the rest of his money and simply return the bail funds. Sandy agrees. Terry wants to see his cousin before the transfer, so Sandy advises him to come at 9 a.m. on Thursday. On Thursday, Terry arrives at the police department, only to discover that the prisoner's bus has already departed. Sandy informs him that he is 3 minutes late. Terry quickly approaches the bus and tells his cousin to ask for protective custody upon arrival at the prison. After having a short conversation, Terry visits Summer for advice. Summer reveals she has uncovered some shocking details about the cops, which could lead to their downfall. She explains that the judge at the courthouse has been involved in this corruption too. Terry must deliver the bail money for Mike to Elliot's desk at the earliest opportunity. Terry shows up at the police headquarters once more and challenges the chief. While they're trying to check his history, Terry's standing outside looking at the station. The chief goes out without knowing about his skills in martial arts as an expert in Marine and tells him that there's no deal, and he has screwed Terry and his cash. Terry grabs his gun and engages in a physical scene. Steve steps in, and things get messy after he threatens the chief and orders him to comply. Terry takes them both inside after disarming them. After putting them in Officer Sims's handcuffs, he leads her to the property room, where he discovers cash and numerous armories. He keeps his first agreement by taking only $10,000. In order to prevent the rangers outside from shooting him, he empties Jessica's gun and tells her to act as though she is cuffing him and guiding him away smoothly. She puts out a police force notice for Terry and drops him off at a safe place. Returning quickly to the courthouse, Terry places the cash on Elliot's desk, to get the job done, but the police enters the courthouse and arrest Terry before Summer can get the judge to sign the bail. He wakes up in a dark place, where Evan Marston takes Terry to visit Chief Sandy. They drive off after picking up Chief Sandy. Sandy tells him about every option during the drive. He says that since they investigated his background, he messed up with the wrong person. When they stop at a hospital, Sandy gives Terry his cash and a paper proving he purchased the truck, telling him to remain silent and act as if nothing had happened. If not, they have the right to imprison him for 30 years for attacking them. Terry accepts the offer because he is upset and angry, but Sandy tells him not to come back to this community again, or they will kill him. Sadly, Mike does not make it out alive when Terry walks into his hospital room. After that, Summer drives Terry to the place where he can get the truck. During the drive, Terry tells her that he's leaving and doesn't care about police corruption, as nothing matters after Mike's death. He says goodbye to Summer and gives her his number for emergencies. When Summer gets home in the middle of the night while sleeping, she discovers that someone has injected her with drugs. When she notices the police car magnet on her refrigerator, she knows they are responsible. Terry instantly drives to her place once she calls him. Because of her drug use, she lost custody of her daughter. She fears that, although she has been granted permission to see her child for the time being, she could lose custody permanently if she is tested tomorrow. They have a conversation about her past and why she got into this job. Terry consoles her. The next day, Summer went to work. According to reports, the judge is collaborating with the police to arrange a meeting with Summer for a drug test. Despite her fear, Summer obeys. Knowing her fate, she cries as she provides a urine sample. Terry, on the other hand, encounters Officer Steve, who invites his street-blocking companions. Despite Terry's cooperation, Steve reminds him that he wasn't supposed to come back to town and shoots Terry, but he fights back and tases him. He drives off in the fields while being shot at unsuccessfully and makes his way to his Chinese restaurant where he worked before. Terry meets Summer there and decide to locate proof against the police officers so they can bring them to justice. They sneak inside the judge's home and break in. The judge admits that he has been working with Sandy for a while after they ask him about the corruption of the police. When Sandy's department ran out of money, he illegally searched and handled the court procedures, bringing in his own money. The defendant had to battle for their money, but they would always lose. And the judge had been cooperating because he was also receiving money. Like Terry's case at the start of the movie, the police would conduct violent traffic stops. These searches were captured on the officers' dash cams and could be used as evidence to bring them to justice. Terry and Summer make the decision to steal these videos, which are hidden in the courthouse's catacombs. When they arrive at the courthouse, the police officers are in front of them. In an attempt to blow up the evidence room, they start a fire, but Summer puts it out. They swiftly steal the memory cards. Summer goes to get her urine sample, and Terry waits for her outside the car. She is unfortunately kidnapped by the police. Terry sees the police capturing Summer as he waits for her outside. They depart after he follows them to a shaded area. Terry directly drives towards the remaining car and crashes into it. He takes the cop out, engages in a fight, chokes him. The cop gives up and gets cuffed. Terry speaks with Steve on his radio. Steve makes a deal to get the memory cards in return for Summer. Tells Terry to meet at Rebel Ridge in daylight once he accepts. Terry doesn't arrive at Rebel Ridge, where Sandy's men wait. Instead, he went to the police station where Chief and Jessica are. He breaks the walls with his truck and opens his way to the pile of cash they're keeping. While Terry is carrying guns from the armory, Sandy, who is reckless, rushes back to get the money. Terry uses beanbag rounds to shoot Chief. Since Jessica is the friend of Summer who has helped him in advance, Terry complies when she shows up. Terry tells Jessica to release the memory cards since he trusts her with them. Sandy's guys show up outside as he takes Sandy's weapons. Suddenly, Jessica changes her mind and says that she doesn't want this to be solved the hard way, so she points the gun at Terry and takes him out, where they confront Officer Steve, who stomps on the memory cards. Steve admits that he knocked Summer unconscious and injected drugs. Jessica realized that she chose the wrong side. When Officer Marston realizes their mistakes, he intervenes to keep everyone safe. He suggests taking Summer to the hospital. All of them aim their weapons at one another, but Sandy shoots Evan in the leg. Evan is bleeding badly, but Sandy Sandy tells everyone that they saw nothing. They can blame it on Terry. While arguing, Terry dragged Evan and hid behind a car with weapons. Evan tells him that the dash cams in the car record 3 minutes before the incident if you turn them on. In this way, he can have access to the film that Sandy shot him. Terry starts throwing smoke grenades. Then he gets out, takes down officers one by one, then confronts Steve, knocks him down, and punches him repeatedly. Terry eliminates the police officers one by one without killing any of them. He gets into Steve's car, where Summer is lying, and turns on the dash cams while Sandy is shooting him. Then he drives towards him. He rescues Evan by driving the car in his direction. They get out of the station to get Jessica to the hospital. They are followed by Jessica, Sandy, and his guys. Evan gives Terry the recording of the film and says he needs to take out the storage camera at the back of the car, and then he can have the evidence. They shoot Terry's tire and get close to them. Chief Sandy moves forward and takes control over them. Their maximum speed is low, and they lose hope. But suddenly, Jessica changes his mind and destroys Sandy's car. Summer and Evan are admitted to the emergency room at the hospital. To expose Sandy, Terry takes the camera storage out of the car and keeps it to himself.